I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're talking to an amazing author by the name of Mick Crowe about his wonderful book, The Psychotic Fireman. Well, I never expected that. It offers a raw and gripping look into the life of a man who ascended from childhood adversity to the heights of a firefighting career, only to face profound mental challenges. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below the interview. Mick, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure. What made you decide to put your journey and your life story down on paper?
Well, when I became ill, it was very difficult for me to speak to the doctor. It was like I was locked in my own mind. And basically, I had to sort of sort my mind out by writing it down. And I found that after a few months, I was writing these notes, and I thought I can actually communicate with my doctor by giving him my notes of what I think my problems are, because I couldn't verbally express myself. And I wrote these notes for years upon years upon years. And then I gave them to, well, no, not years upon years before they gave them to my doctor. I gave them after a few months. But throughout my illness, I kept giving him more notes because I couldn't understand why I was like I was, and I didn't know what the problem was. And by giving him these notes, he treated me with them notes eventually. And that's why I wrote the book. I thought, well, I can't let all this information go to waste. It could help a lot of people.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely. A lot of people have challenges. A lot of people have challenges with mental health at one point in their life or another. Was there something that led to your break that you had the issues that you had?
um, well, I think everybody has problems throughout their life which affect them. But I joined the fire service when I was 20 or 21, and I became ill at 40.
Mhm.
And I do believe that a large proportion of my illness was the incidents I've attended over the years. Now, I never really had a problem with them during them 20 years, but or not that I realized, but it all come to a pinnacle,
Mhm.
and I broke, and it's I can't really say more than that.
Yeah,
It was a very difficult book to write
yeah.
because as I wrote it, the more memories would come back, and sometimes it would be upsetting memories. Some of the times there'd be humorous memories, like and but I found it very difficult to write the book,
Mhm.
and well, I just couldn't verbally communicate, and it really that went on for a good part of 20 years. It's only the last 2 years that I can actually verbally communicate it since I've wrote the book,
Mhm.
and I've seen my problems in front of me, and I've read the book, and it knocked me about because
Mhm.
I could actually see my problems all in front of me after 20 years, all at one time. And it was a little bit much to comprehend all at once.
Mhm.
So I actually put the book away for 2 years, and I've read it once since because it does affect me.
Yeah, I'm
It's
sure.
so in depth.
Is the book fully your story or is it novelized? Tell us about that.
Um, well, I start the book off with background information, basically t- to try and explain who I am and what I'm about and what sort of person I was. And then it's not physically put into two sections, but the first part is more like a biography, so you understand who I am. And then the second part goes into when you actually become mentally ill, when you actually have your breakdown. And then it explains what I actually had going on in my head.
Mhm.
Now, I wrote down a lot of things that I didn't even know I knew about, and they just came out. And somebody once told me that it could be automated writing, because when I was writing, I didn't even know what I was going to come out with the next. Sometimes my hand would just move and it would write things. And sometimes I couldn't believe what came out of the writings. And I think it came from the depths of my soul.
Mm.
And that's where the book comes from. And so it starts as a biography, then leads on to mental health. And I hope, that people can actually learn from it and it may help people.
Yeah. What was your diagnosis? What did the doctors feel your mental health
Well,
issue was?
I've been diagnosed. I never ever asked for a final diagnosis, but I was diagnosed with psychotic depression,
Mhm.
schizophrenia, and post-traumatic stress disorder.
Mm.
And to be honest with you, I think it was a bit of everything
Yeah.
because it was bad. It was very bad. I never expected to fall mentally ill.
Yeah.
And when it did come, I didn't understand what was happening. It was very, very frightening.
Yeah.
And people often said to me, we never expected it to happen to you,
Right.
and I never expected it to happen to me, but some button goes in your head
Mm.
and, one day your brain says it has enough and it turns off.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. And I had a big memory loss, and there's still things I can't remember, which are coming back to me over time. They seem to come back more now in in the latter period of the 20 years. Um, Initially, I couldn't remember a lot of things, and
Mm.
I actually figured out that I had lost my memory,
Mm.
which took some doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically it.
Tell me about your road to healing. How were you able to get better?
Well, I often threw the book in the bin. It was that
Mm.
bad because it used to upset me.
Yeah.
But I always got it out again. I even gave my wife uh, all my all my staplers, scissors, pencils, pens, because I thought I'm not doing any more. And
Mhm.
I drew what I called an A2 equation in the book. And I needed to write this equation to write the book, but I couldn't write the book until I'd done the equation. So it was bouncing off each other all the time. And the book did take about 4 years to write because the A2 equation was so complex. But
Mm.
it did lead me to write the book. And well, the book is there now to be read.
Yeah.
Um, Things are clearer in my mind now, but it's taken over 20 years for me to actually start feeling better. I'm
Yeah.
still on medication. I never did get off the medication, but I'm okay on it. I can
Mhm.
get by on it.
Right.
Um, so the book did have a big impact on my healing once I read it and could see all the problems. And I thought, yeah, that's it. It was so clear to me, but for 20 years, it was just mixed up in my mind.
Yeah. Do you feel that your um, mental health issues had been brewing since childhood?
Oh, I don't think I can totally blame the fire service.
Mhm.
Well, I don't blame the fire service. I was paid to do a job and I
Mhm.
did it. It just affected me,
Yeah.
and but there's no doubt I had traumas in my younger life, which obviously upset me. And, I can't say. And what I will say, it's never ever one thing.
Yeah.
It's always a combination of things. And some of my childhood might be in that, some of my adolescence life, some of my fire service career. I wasn't treated the best at work when I become mentally ill because 20 years ago it wasn't recognized as much as it is now.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't really know where I was going with that
Right.
now.
No, but no, it makes perfect sense. It's true. With everything in life, there's never just one reason. It's a compilation of
No,
many, many things. The exact ingredients you'll probably never for sure know.
no, that's
Being in the
right.
fire service for 20 years, I'm sure that's when it was a real old boys network where there are more likely to bust your chops than to be compassionate when you were going through something, because that's just how male fraternities work. It's just
And it
what us
was
guys
very
do.
male orientated 20 years ago,
Yeah.
like you say, and it wasn't recognized. I believe it's more recognized now
Yeah.
in the job, and they get a lot more help for it. But they were only sort of just introducing um, sort of debriefing sessions after jobs in the latter part of my career. Before that, you just had to get on with it.
Yeah.
I think you could have gone to see the chaplain and um, what do you call them? People that you can talk to, counselors,
Yeah.
and all that. But really, a lot of it was done on the station with the blokes. We debriefed ourselves,
Yeah.
but now it's being looked into a lot more, is understood more. And I'm pleased about that because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through.
Absolutely. And we're glad you're feeling better. We're glad you're doing well. We're happy that you wrote this book. I know it was a lot of work. It was a lot of pain at times, but it really is going to benefit the people out there who pick up this book and read it. It's written by Mick Crowe. The name of the book is The Psychotic Fireman. Well, I never expected that. It offers a raw and gripping look into the life of a man who went from a childhood of adversity to the heights of a firefighting career, only to be hit by profound mental challenges 20 years into the job. Mick, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
No problem. Thank you very much for asking me, like I said before.
I appreciate your time, Mick. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.